and indeed from Pembrokeshire, live here in our studios in Haverfordwest. It is Toby Ellis here on the Daytime Show. And I've got a very special guest with us here this morning, Louise Draycott, who is doing the most incredible challenge, 12 marathons in 7 months. I do not know how you're doing this, Louise, but we'll get onto that in just a moment. Thank you for coming into our studios today. It's lovely to meet you.
Thank you, Toby. Nice to meet you too.
So it was quite funny, actually, how we've sort of met and come to this today. So Sarah, who does a lot of marketing and promotion for the Pembrokeshire Agricultural Society, as we gear up for the county show later on this year, she said, I've got this story for you. And I started reading it and like a tear just rolled down my eye, and I just rung you and I was like, I need to get you on the show.
Thank you.
And here you are today. So tell us about your son and what happened.
Okay, my son Luke was 22 when he took his own life last year on the 22nd of March. He was high functioning autism, ASD1 as we now refer to it, although he was diagnosed as Asperger's, although we don't use that term anymore. He was a wonderful young man, just about to go off to university. But he had struggled with mental health issues. He had struggled having autism and felt isolated and misunderstood. And he described himself as only ever being able to be his true self with other autistic people, that he was misunderstood by people who were not on the spectrum like himself.
I mean, it is very difficult if people have had a lack of understanding or they don't really understand it, then quite easy to be singled out. And obviously with COVID and the pandemic, he really struggled there as well, didn't he?
Yes, I mean, he obviously was at home for quite a long time and he was doing performing arts at Pembrokeshire College. So he wasn't able to do any of that, which was a huge disappointment to him. And even though I think he was quite comfortable on his own and spent quite a lot of time on his own doing his own thing, I don't think it was necessarily healthy for him not to have that contact with young people. And I think that might have been a contributor, although he had a very difficult time when he was 18, where he had felt suicidal, and we'd managed to get the right support through mind and counselling to get him through that. But sadly, when he was 22, I think he just withdrew into himself, and he just found living with autism in society and being accepted and trying to interact with other people just too challenging. And I think the fact that he was going off to university was quite frightening for him, going out into the bigger world.
I mean, I'm fortunate to understand it quite a bit as my daughter is autistic, and I've been to many different support groups and been very fortunate to do the job that I do. I get to meet lovely people like you that have been through awful experiences, but also how these things can be turned around and also get awareness of these types of issues. And I'd like to say, over the last couple of years that stigma is being broken down, and I'd say at probably an exponential rate right now.
Yeah.
But we still got a way to go.
Yes, I think so. I don't know whether COVID contributed to people becoming more aware of mental health issues.
Yes.
And I, certainly from, when I was young, autism has moved in leaps and bounds, and the support that's available, and there is a lot more understanding, and I think a lot more people are being diagnosed now, so people have more awareness. But I think for Luke, he just when he was young, as a child, he was very happy within his own skin. But I think when he became a teenager and social skills and the importance of that come into play more, he found it hard to integrate with other people because he was just that little bit different, and he would form friendships and then perhaps they would fade away because they weren't able to cope with him being slightly different and his quirks and his differences. And he always felt that it was something that he'd done wrong, that he'd upset somebody, which was completely not the case, because he was just the kindest, most considerate person you could ever meet.
And this is it. They have the most wonderful quirks, and they're so highly intelligent in various different areas. They sort of have their obsessions with these things. And I mean, I've known some incredible people that have autism over the years. What one boy I recollect, He knows every A road in the UK.
Yeah.
You say a place, he'll tell you where it is.
Yeah.
I mean, that's phenomenal.
It is.
He's a walking, living
Yes.
UK roadmap.
Yes. When they have a passion about something, they have a photograph. It's a photographic memory. I mean, Luke was passionate about film and drama, and he would watch a film that he loved. He loved Star Wars and Batman, and he would watch the trailers at the end, and he could come home and tell me who the producer was, who the director was, just from reading the end of the film. And he was incredible, and he had an incredible brain, which I'm sure he would have been extremely successful. He wanted to be a film director. And I've no doubt he would have made a great success had he gone on to pursue that. Yeah,
no doubt. So he sadly lost his life last year. Very sorry for your loss, Louise. The diagnosis, how did that sort of happen, and at what age?
He was 12 when we began the process of having diagnosed. I'd always felt that he was different. He always, in school, he kind of played by himself a lot more than other children, didn't interact. He was obsessive about certain things. He knew the name of every dinosaur. Then he got into Star Wars, and he was just passionate about what he was passionate about, but to the exclusion of everything else. And he was just kind of different. And I remember talking to a chap that I worked with who had 2 boys with autism, lower functioning than Luke. And I described his symptoms, his personality. And he said, I think he could have Asperger's, as it was then. So I started making inquiries. The school said, yes, we think he does. And we started the diagnosis. And we moved to Swansea then, and we were very fortunate at Gowton School that they have an autistic unit. So he had that full support through to his A levels, which I think helped him enormously. So he was about 13 when we were able to get educational support in place for him, and for me to be able to research and understand more the difficulties and why routine was just so important to him, why he would have a meltdown if we took a different route to school, or if he was late, or we changed his routine in any way.
Oh yeah, I can totally sympathise with the routine and routes especially. Crikey, yes. It's all got to be just mapped out in advance. Yes. Everything has to fall into place, and if it doesn't, as you said, the meltdowns are horrendous. Unfortunately, that's not the real world, and things are going to go wrong and happen, and that's really what people with autism struggle with immensely, don't they? And understandably, because if you understand them, you understand why it's such a big issue, and I guess that's where the struggles just came too much.
Yes, I think so. I mean, he left a suicide letter to us, describing how he felt and the difficulties he felt. He felt that he was completely misunderstood, that he was really paranoid about offending people and saying the wrong thing. And he would quite often come to me and say, apologize to me profusely for having said something that he thought might have offended me. And I think that transitioned into all aspects of his life. And I think he was frightened. I do think he was frightened about going to university and living independently, even though he was quite independent, because certain situations were daunting for him, would cause him anxiety, large crowds, large noises, large groups of people going into somewhere where he wasn't familiar with would be quite daunting for Luke. So I think his anxiety levels and coming up to his exams and feeling that he wasn't going to do well in his exams, I think it all just became too much for him.
We've actually had a couple of donations since it's been on air already, Louise. Kim Richards, good luck, great cause. I have an autistic son who still has the struggle. I'm in Pembroke if you ever need a cuppa and a chat. How lovely is that? Yeah. Thank you, Kim. And 2 anonymous donations as well. So you decided to gain help and support and awareness for people with autism, and specifically people that are maybe feeling suicidal with autism?
Yes. I mean, Luke asked in his letter to me to pass on his difficulties to the greater, wider public in order to help people to understand the difficulties that people face with autism, to have a greater understanding, not just an awareness of an understanding. And I just thought, after, towards the end of last year, what could I do to reach as many people and get that message across, and also to help other people who have mental health challenges and feel suicidal? I mean, suicide is the main cause of death in people under the age of 35. And that was a staggering statistic that I wasn't aware of until my son became one. So I thought about what I could do. I'm a runner. I thought, well, I can do a run, I can do a marathon. And I just thought, well, that might not garner enough attention. So I came up with the idea of doing a marathon a month, 12 marathons in 12 months. I thought, right, I can probably do that. And as it was, I couldn't quite find one every month. So I've ended up doing 12 in 7, which is quite a challenge.
We just worked out, because I thought that was, I was saying to Louise before we came on air, I was like, hang on a minute, that looks a little bit more like 12 in less than 12 months. So we just worked out it's 7 months.
Yes.
Incredible. And I can see here three in April.
3 in April.
How was that?
That was amazing, actually. The first one was the Great Welsh Marathon. And then Newport, which is 2 weeks later. And then just a week later was London. And I thought, well, I'm going to be really tired by the time I do London. But actually, it was as if my muscle memory kicked in, and London was easier. And I got to 20 miles and thought, oh, this is quite comfortable. Maybe I need to get a little bit of a move on here. And London was amazing. It is the most amazing marathon, just because of the crowd and the support you get there. So it's been good so far.
Oh, fabulous. We hear the same story. Ben Stone from the Pure West Sports Show, he recently did the London Marathon as well this year, and just the camaraderie and just the buzz around London. He says it's just phenomenal. It gets you around. It's the extra person.
Yes, it is.
Pushing
it's
you through
every step of the way with London. They're supporting you and calling your name and giving you sweets and segments of orange. They're just incredible. But,
fabulous.
Running as well for me has been so good for my mental health. I've been running a long time, and I have had difficult challenges in my life where I felt low. I had postnatal depression, and it was running, getting me outdoors, getting me moving that helped me. And it was running after Luke died that, without a doubt, saved me from just falling into a black hole of despair, I think.
Well, well done for putting your running shoes on, and well done for taking on this incredible challenge. This is the jersey now. If you're watching us live on the socials, so Luke was a big fan of Batman.
Huge Batman.
So
fan.
we've got the Batman symbol on the back there, and you can see a list of all of those marathons that Louise is doing. Absolutely phenomenal. So next on the horizon, then it's off to Edinburgh
this weekend. Sunday, Edinburgh.
Good luck. But this is the one that stands out to me the most, which is a little bit concerning, if you ask me, Louise. I think you must be mad. 17th and 18th of June, Race to the King Day 1, then Race to the King Day 2. What's that all about?
Race to King is actually an ultra marathon. So it's a 100-kilometer run, and you can either run it in 1 day or 2 days. So we are doing 50K on the Saturday, the 17th of June. And then we're getting up, which is 32 miles. And then we're getting up on Sunday and running 32 miles again. My husband's doing that one with me. He's never done a marathon. He's going straight into ultra.
Wow.
As he is. But yeah, so that's going to be a tough one. The first day will be fine.
Crikey. Well, I thought you were a little bit mad. I think your husband's completely bonkers.
He is bonkers, yeah.
Hats off to you. But of course, doing it for such a wonderful cause. So you're hoping to raise over $3,000.
Yes.
3,500 is your target. Well on your way. Like I said, since we've been on air, it's cranked up quite a bit. So you're now up to 2,920. So
thank you, everybody.
Yeah, thank you ever so much. And you can see the Just Giving link on our socials and on the live stream right now. So the money raised, where is it going to be going to, Louise?
Right. Well, we had a separate page for London, which was for Mind, which is a wonderful charity which helps people with mental health challenges. So we've already raised 3,000 there. We've got the second page for the remainder of the year, and that's going to be split between Mind and Papyrus, which is to help prevent suicide in young people.
Fantastic. Quite a few messages coming in as well. Thanks to Gemma. Gems, she's had quite a bit of a struggle actually with her son in education that has been sort of suffering with autism. So thanks for getting in touch, Gemma. She says, good luck, Louise.
Thank you.
at the end of her comments on our live. And if you have been affected by anything we've discussed here today, please do reach out to any of the charities mentioned, Mine, Pembrokeshire, Papyrus, and indeed all the details can be found online as well at purewestradio.com. You can reach out to us as well, privately, anonymously. It's at Pure West Radio on the socials. And we have Healthy Minds, Better Lives on the second Thursday of each month as well, where we concentrate and look at mental health, and we can certainly signpost you in any of those directions. So please feel free to get in touch if you would like any more information on anything mentioned. Louise, thank you ever so much for coming in today, sharing your heartbreaking story. But it's just incredible what you're doing to get yourself through it, to gain awareness for it. Already a huge amount of money raised, and we'll keep plugging along for you. We'll smash that target for you.
Thank you, Toby. Thank you for giving me the chance to come and chat to you.
No,
today.
absolute pleasure. And good luck with the rest of the marathons. Keep in touch now, please.
I will.
Make sure. Promise?
I promise. Well,
Good.
I'll see you at the
long course.
The long course.
Yeah, I will see you at the long course weekend.
Yeah.
I'm going to be there at the finish line.
Okay.
So hopefully when you see my face
Hopefully
next,
I'll make it.
you'll be relieved. You'll be like, yes, I've done it.
Thank you.
And you'd like to hear Elton John, Rocket Man.
Thank you. Favourite song of Luke's.
Oh, fabulous. It's playing now on Pure West Radio. Thanks to Louise Draycott for joining us here on the show. It's Pure West Radio.
She packed my bags last night, pre-flight.